procedures. The Maltese doctors had the reputation of conducting the fastest amputations in Europe, being able to cut a limb in under 2 minutes. The knight's achievement was to have combined loving service to the poor with exceptional service to its sick soldiers. This tactful doctrine enhanced the order's status, while also guaranteeing a loyal military through the ages. In the 18th century, the power of the Knights of Malta reached its peak. The Grand Master status rose to that of a prince with his own court, living with the pomp of royalty. A live orchestra accompanied lunch and dinner. Young knights played females and sang the roles of the sopranos in the opera house built by the order. And the sound of music and theater slowly replaced the sounds of cannons. A courtly household of 40 supervised and managed the activities in the various Grand Master's palaces, and 50 horses were hitched to his carriage. Taste and breeding became the most valued traits. Rivalries among the knights played according to their nationalities. The watches of the French knights kept Versailles time, even though it was an hour earlier in Paris. And they always dressed in black, ridiculing the colorful outfits of the Spaniards, while the Italians made sure their swords were longer than anybody else's. The French Revolution inflicted a heavy blow to the order. The knights were closely identified with the royal house, and when they lent Louis XVI 12,000 francs in 1796 to help his escape, they sealed their fate. After his capture, the king was imprisoned in the Knights' Temple in Paris, and shortly after, the entire properties of the order, valued at £5 million, were confiscated. On June 6, 1798, Napoleon and his army of 29,000 sailed into Valletta, defended by 7,000 soldiers. The odds against them were not worse than with Suleiman, and yet the island was given up without much resistance. Napoleon, a committed Freemason, had sent envoys the year before to rally knights who sympathized with the Republican cause, and Grand Master Ferdinand von Hompesch was believed to have connections to Freemason lodges in Germany. Most French knights refused to rise against the French army, as well as several Spanish knights who were ordered by their government, allied with France, not to fight. Napoleon strolled into the city on June 12, 1798. The Grand Master was allowed to leave, taking with him only the hand of St. John. Everything else, the large and uncatalogued treasures of the order, from the Grand Master's palaces to the gold and silver of the churches and the relics of the Crusades, were packed and taken to Napoleon's ship, L'Orient. 50 French knights sailed with Napoleon, although Knight Beaujolien remarked, "No situation, however desperate, can ever justify committing such dishonorable acts." In an ironic twist of fate, on August 1st, an English fleet under Admiral Nelson attacked L'Orient, which sank with all the treasures in Aboukir Bay. Mysteriously, in spite of several international attempts, the treasure has never been recovered. The knights sought and received the protection of the Emperor of Russia, Paul I, who quickly elected himself Grand Master against the protestation of the Church. The Tsar could have easily reconquered Malta. Plagued by schizophrenia, however, he chose instead to give knighthoods to all of his friends and mistresses. This enraged the frustrated knights in St. Petersburg. On March 23, 1801, 4 Knights of Malta assassinated the Tsar in his bedchambers. By the early 1800s, England had occupied Malta, and the Knights' headquarters in Italy, Russia, and Germany were closed down. The order was considered dead. The Knights settled in Rome in 1830 when they were given a home by the Pope. But under the watchful eye of the Holy Father, they traded what little freedom they had for a total dependency on Vatican rule. The only activity remaining open to the order was caring for the sick, and they began appearing in all European wars of the last century, organizing field hospitals. In World War I, the order operated a hospital ship, the Regina Margherita, and hospital trains all over Europe. Keeping allegiance was always hard for the tongues. When Italy entered the war against Austria, the Austrian Grand Master, who had invested the order's money in German and Austrian war bonds, had to resign in shame. In 1923, the King of Italy gave the order extraterritorial status. The Knights of Malta's prestigious position as one of the last aristocratic institutions made them very attractive to a group of ambitious social climbers called I Fasulli, the Fakes. William Lamb, an American of Russian descent, claimed a connection to Tsar Paul I, and therefore the right to set up his own knighthood, called Knights of Malta Incorporated, in Pennsylvania in 1911. After World War II, this corporation was still selling knighthoods all over the world at a brisk pace. A dubious character named Enrico Vigo set up a U.S. Knights Center in Malta under the name of His Imperial and Royal Highness Prince Henry II, Constantine de Vigo Lescaris, Alaramico Paleologo de Montferrat, hereditary Emperor of Byzantium. During the 1980s, passports to the sovereign state of Malta were sold by speculators in Hong Kong to the tune of $50,000 each. Today, the order boasts 10,000 knights and 50 embassies all over the world. The Grand Master is recognized as a head of state with a rank equivalent to a prince and the ecclesiastic position of a cardinal. The order continues to run hospitals and relief assistance worldwide. It dispenses, according to some estimates, over $50 million a year in charity. In a fitting gesture, the government of Malta returned Castel Sant'Angelo to the order in 1999. Starting out once again in the Mediterranean they once ruled with the cross and the sword. The brothers will surely find a way to thrust themselves into the history of the 21st century. Blessed Gerard founded the humble order over 900 years ago in the name of our Lord the Poor. After many centuries of charity, the Order of the Hospitallers has reached the new millennium with the essence of the brotherhood untouched.